Why do some people seem to suffer more, earlier, deeper, and more often? What if it's not punishment, but preparation? What if the pain you've endured wasn't a detour, but the very path designed for your divine purpose? There is a hidden pattern in your hardships, and when you see it clearly, you'll realize you're not cursed, you're chosen. Have you ever wondered why everything seems more intense with you? Why do you face trials from an early age that others cannot even imagine? Is it just bad luck? Or is there something bigger behind all this? What if I told you that these pains, these losses, and this constant feeling of not belonging are in fact spiritual marks? Marks left by God on those who were separated, chosen for something that has not yet been completely revealed. Chosen by God. This expression carries a mysterious weight. It's not just a pretty title or some spiritual idea. It is a sacred and calling. And if you've come this far, it may be that something inside you, even if you don't know how to explain it, is already awakening. There's something different about you, a sensitivity that bothers, a light that the world tries to turn off, an intuition that no one understands. And no matter how much you try to fit in, something reminds you all the time. You weren't made to follow the ordinary. The Bible is full of mysteries, hidden codes, stories that repeat themselves in spiritual cycles. And in each of them, there is always someone who is separate, someone who suffers before being lifted up, someone who is rejected before being exalted. Joseph was thrown into a well. Moses was hidden in a basket. David was forgotten in the field. Everyone went through God's silence before living their purpose. Coincidence or divine standard for the chosen ones? If you feel like your life is marked by unexplained losses, spiritual attacks, dreams that no one understands, and a longing for something you never experienced, perhaps it's time to face the truth. You are not being punished. It is being prepared. Because only the chosen are forged in the invisible. Only the chosen are tested where no one sees. And only they receive missions that surpass human understanding. Many people around you will not understand your pain. They will call you dramatic, exaggerated, too sensitive. But what they don't know is that the true chosen ones carry the weight of an entire spiritual world on their shoulders. It's not depression. It's your spirit trying to awaken to the mission. It's not a lack. It is the absence of heaven that your soul recognizes. It's not weakness, it is a clear sign that there is something divine being gestated within you. And no matter how much the world tries to silence you, there is a God who sees you, that hides you. Not because it rejects you, but because it is shaping you. And this Lee process hurts. It hurts like God's silence, like the separation from friends, like the end of cycles that you didn't choose. But this pain did not come to destroy you. She came to prepare you. Most people live only naturally, but you feel the spiritual pulsing. You notice signs where others only see coincidences. You dream about what hasn't happened yet. You feel it before you see it. That's not crazy, it's discernment, it is spiritual activation. It's the beginning of something much bigger that you can't even understand yet. Maybe you don't know it yet. But there is a purpose hidden between the lines of your story. And that's what we're going to talk about now. Because there are 5 trials that no one wants to go through, but that every chosen one inevitably faces before living their true calling. And that is why you have faced so much. No, it's not an exaggeration. It's not weakness. This constant feeling of being out of place, of being left aside, of carrying a pain that no one sees, all of this is part of a sacred process. God does not waste suffering. He turns every tear into direction, every loss in stoning, each silence in future response. The chosen are not recognized at first. They are hidden. They are separated, taken from environments, isolated from people who once seemed essential. And all this happens because heaven is preparing something that cannot yet be revealed. Have you ever noticed how at certain moments in life it seems like everything falls apart at once? Friendships that break, doors that close, paths that once seemed promising simply disappear. This is not bad luck, this is alignment. It's the invisible hand of God rearranging your world even when you don't understand. Because the chosen one does not walk by the obvious. He walks by faith. He passes through deep valleys, not because he did something wrong, but because he carries something sacred. You are being trained spiritually. This pain that insists on visiting you has a name, purpose. It only exists because you have something big to accomplish. something that goes beyond the now, something that touches the invisible. You are being molded in silence like clay in the hands of a potter. And God's silence, as painful as it may seem, is one of the greatest signs that He is working behind the scenes in your journey. Now, make sure to click the like here. Each video is a revelation. Each word is a confirmation of what your spirit already knows, because you're not just watching, you're awakening. Have you ever noticed how from an early age it seems that something in you awakens reactions that are not always positive? Maybe you were that child who felt out of place even at home, the different from the family, the one who thought too much, felt too much, and seemed to carry an invisible weight that no one else understood. The words of others hurt you more. Rejection always seemed to knock on your door even when you were doing everything right. And no matter how hard you tried to fit in, there was something inside you that screamed, "You're not like the others." This is not a defect, that's a sign. The inexplicable rejection you faced at school, in your family, and your relationships was not a punishment. It was a spiritual separation. Heaven marked you from the beginning, and the chosen ones always carry this mark even without knowing it. Joseph was rejected by his brothers and sold into slavery. David ignored by his own father when the prophet went to anoint a king. They were rejected, but they were chosen. You were too. And maybe now you're starting to understand rejection hurts, corrodes. It makes us doubt our own worth. But it also reveals, it shows who you are in the spiritual world. Do you really think you would be so attacked if you didn't have something precious inside you? The enemy does not pursue those who are lost. He pursues those who carry a purpose. And the pain of rejection didn't come to destroy you, came to shield you, to show you that your value is not in the approval of men, but in the anointing that heaven has placed on you. And this spiritual mark accompanied you. Even when you grew up, it was there. Maybe today you feel alone. Even when surrounded by people, He's always helping, listening, donating. But when you need it, there's silence. This is no ordinary loneliness. It is divine isolation. God takes you out of the noise so that you can hear His voice better. He keeps you away from what is shallow because He knows that your mission is deep. It is in the desert that the chosen hear the call. It is in the void that purpose is born. It may seem unfair, but isolation is protection. You may even think that you are being forgotten, abandoned, excluded, but in fact it is being shielded. Heaven protects you from environments that do not match your spiritual frequency. People who wouldn't understand your sensitivity. Relationships that would only drain your energy. God takes you away not to punish you, but to preserve what He is building within you. And that silence you feel, He is not absence, it's preparation. Heaven works silently behind the scenes of your journey. And the more you wake up, the more you notice the attacks. Attacks that come from where you least expect them. People who seem uncomfortable with your mere presence. Criticisms that come out of nowhere. Jealousy disguised as advice. Words that hurt, looks that weigh, environments that suffocate. And you ask yourself, what did I do? The answer is you exist. And that's enough to bother you because your presence carries a different frequency. Its light reveals the shadows around, and those who live in lies get angry with those who carry the truth. Those chosen don't need to say much to generate impact. Their energy speaks for itself, and this energy is often perceived by those who are spiritually out of alignment as a threat. So don't be surprised if you attract harsh looks, nasty comments, or even sudden withdrawals. It's not personal, it's spiritual. You are awakening. And when a chosen one awakens, everything around begins to move, including attacks. But these attacks are proof that you are on the right path. They only come when the sky is about to lift you up. Have you ever noticed how some people just can't stand to see you alone, as if your lightness bothered you, your faith provoked you, your joy caused discomfort? This happens because you carry a light that confronts, an anointing that reveals what is hidden. Its presence cleans environments. Your spirit is seen even when you try to hide it. And no matter how much they try to erase you, there is something in you that insists on shining because it was placed by God. And what God plants, no man uproots. You are not being punished. You are being refined. God is making you resilient, strong inside, unshakable in spirit. Because the mission that is reserved for you requires preparation, requires polishing. It requires courage. And every rejection, Every moment of loneliness, every inexplicable attack are spiritual tools that are shaping the warrior, the prophet, the healer, the messenger that you were born to be. Now comment here, I am a chosen one even when the world doesn't understand. And take a deep breath because there is still more to be revealed. There are other trials, even more profound, that are part of the divine preparation of the chosen ones. And then comes that moment when everything seems silent. You pray, but you feel no answer. He looks for signs, but only finds silence. It's as if suddenly God has withdrawn, as if heaven is on standby. And this feeling so difficult to explain continues over the days. You continue to believe but in silence, keep trying but in silence, keep walking even without clear direction, and the world around you continues to function, as if nothing is happening while inside you everything seems to be at war. This is the desert time, a spiritual territory known only to chosen by God. And maybe you're in it now feeling like you've been forgotten, abandoned, pushed aside. But the desert was never a place of punishment. It was always a place of preparation. Moses spent 40 years in the desert before freeing a people. Elijah hid in the cave, hearing God speak only in a whisper. And even Jesus, before beginning, his ministry was led by the Spirit into the desert to be tested. It is in silence that the sky speaks loudest, but not in the way you expect. While the world searches for noisy answers, God operates on frequencies that only the broken heart can capture. He speaks in time. He speaks in his absence. He talks about the delay, because true calling is not born on the stage. It is born in the cave in anonymity in the soul that continues to believe even when everything around it seems to have stopped. Have you ever felt this? That phase where prayers seem to hit the ceiling. How do you ask, cry, fast, but nothing changes? And when this goes on, the heart begins to doubt. Has God forgotten me? Has he abandoned me? But what the world hasn't taught you is that God hides his own before revealing. God's silence is the backdrop where He paints your next season. And only the chosen ones go through this profound silence, because only they have a mission that requires a solid foundation. Whoever will be God's spokesman must first learn to listen without hearing, to trust without seeing, waiting without knowing the time. And that's when the fifth ordeal arrives, when it seems like what little was left is also gone. Losses, breaks, unexpected endings, relationships that fall apart, friendships that break, projects that don't go anywhere, paths that seemed right but suddenly collapse. And once again you find yourself on the floor, as if what still kept you standing had also been ripped away. But this apparent destruction is not the end, it's the transition. God often allows the old version of you to be broken so that the new can be born. There is no birth without pain. There is no rebirth without rupture. You are shaped by cycles, and when a spiritual cycle ends, everything that is stuck in it also needs to leave. Therefore, when losses arrive, no matter how painful they are announcing a new era. It's as if heaven said, "You don't need this anymore for what comes now." Perhaps you have lost important friendships, people you swore would be with you forever, but suddenly they moved away. No clear reason, no explanation. This is spiritual deliverance. Not everyone can follow the growth of a chosen one. Not every heart supports the brightness of your mission. And yes, sometimes even faith seems to be lost. When prayers are not answered, when suffering prolongs, the heart becomes tired. But even in those moments when you feel like you're losing everything, that's when you're closest to being lifted up. Because only those who have lost everything know the value of starting over with God. Only those who have cried on the floor understand the power of getting up with purpose. The process of a chosen one is painful because he carries a rare destiny. You are not being broken for nothing. You are being shaped for something greater. And the deeper the cut, the stronger the root. You're like a spiritual tree. And the pruning time, although it may seem cruel, is what guarantees that the fruits of the next cycle will be even more powerful. And this preparation, this silence, these losses are all phases of the same divine plan. Each of these trials brings you closer to your purpose, even if it seems otherwise, and that whoever is not chosen does not understand. The world only sees the visible, but whoever carries the seal of God knows that the greatest spiritual movements happen in the invisible. You are being positioned even if you can't see it. Perhaps the deepest pain did not come from adulthood, but From childhood, from a phase in which you didn't understand the world, but you already felt that there was something strange, a heaviness in the air, a discomfort in commonplaces, a sensitivity that others said was exaggerated. While other children played and laughed, you watched. While they quickly forgot what hurt them, you carried everything inside your chest, as if every word, every look, every rejection was engraved in your soul. And that wasn't weakness, it was discernment. It was your soul being marked by something you didn't yet understand, the calling. It's difficult to explain to someone what it's like to grow up with a pain that has no name, a wound that doesn't bleed on the outside but corrodes on the inside. You may have been surrounded by people, but the real hug was missing, that welcoming touch, that I'm with you, that never came. Maybe you grew up hearing criticism, rejection, comparisons, or perhaps what hurt most was the silence. The silence of those who should have protected you. The silence of someone who looked at you but didn't see you. And that pain shaped you not because God wanted you to suffer, but because He knew how strong you needed to be. You chosen by God. They are almost always injured early because the enemy tries to attack even before their spiritual identity awakens. It is a silent and early war where the first battles are not fought in the outside world but in the soul. And maybe that's why to this day you carry brands that no one sees. An absurd sensitivity, a sharp intuition, an emotional weight that doesn't seem to match his age. These are all signs, spiritual signs, that you were separated from an early age. Have you ever noticed how even in happy moments, there is a hint of longing inside you? A feeling that something is missing. Even when everything seems to be fine, this is the echo of your mission. It is the reminder that your soul has been called to something greater. It's the sign that you don't just belong to this world. And the pain you've carried since you were little is like a spiritual seal placed upon you to constantly remind you that you have a mission that no one else can fulfill. This pain is not in vain. She has a code inside her, a divine reminder. Because, contrary to what the world teaches, not every wound needs to be erased. Some need to be understood, honored, recognized as part of your spiritual journey. What hurt you actually prepared you. What hurt you aligned you. Those moments when you felt forgotten, rejected, invisible, were actually moments of sacred separation. Heaven took you from environments that could kill your essence. And yes, it was painful, but it was necessary. You are not fragile. You are deep. And that's why He felt everything so intensely from an early age. The world doesn't understand you, because you carry codes from another realm. You are too sensitive for this time, but perfectly shaped for what God will manifest through your life. And every pain from your childhood is being given new meaning now. You thought you were being punished, but you were being trained. You thought you were inferior, but you were being strengthened from within. Those whom God calls early, He also wounds early, not out of cruelty, but out of purpose. Think about the biblical figures that marked generations. None of them had a simple childhood. Joseph was betrayed by his brothers and thrown into a well. Samuel was delivered to the temple as a child and learned to listen to God in silence. Jeremiah was called before he was even born. And Jesus, since he was a baby, he was persecuted, he had to flee, he lived as a refugee. Everyone without exception carried something special, and they all faced pain, isolation, and rejection from a very early age. Maybe now you understand why your story was so marked by moments of loneliness, confusion, and injustice, because you were that silent child, or the one that screamed inside without being heard. Because you grew up with a keen perception, feeling things that no one talked about, sensing pains that weren't even yours. That's not crazy. It is a spiritual gift, and this gift needs emotional maturity. That's why the pain came before the gift awakened. What if instead of trying to erase all of this, you started to accept that your story has a divine geometry? That every break, every wound, every silence has a reason that goes beyond human understanding. Maybe you don't need to heal from everything. Maybe you just need to understand that it was separated, that God allowed certain things because only those who have been broken know how to rebuild. Only those who cried in the dark know how to light the path of others. And only those who survived childhood without a lap understand the value of carrying in their arms the mission of caring for other wounded hearts. You are not living all this for nothing. These pains that no one understands, this silence that seems like punishment, these losses that cut deep are in fact pieces of a bigger plan. And as unfair as it may seem now, you are not being punished. You are being spiritually prepared for something only you can carry. It is no exaggeration to say that your soul is undergoing divine polishing, because the rarer the purpose, the more demanding the process. And your process has been intense, deep, and often lonely. But no, this pain has an end date, and not because it will simply be removed, but because it will be transformed. Every tear that fell in secret, every night you looked to the sky looking for answers, every time the world made you believe you were too small, all of this is being collected by God Himself. He does not forget any detail of the process of a chosen one. He watches in silence as He shapes, pushes away, closes doors, and whispers to his heart, "Don't give up, I'm here." You are much more than your pain. You are a spiritual weapon being forged in divine fire. Your every scar is a point of strength in the spiritual realm. Every time you chose to love, even though you were rejected, you were strengthened. Every time you chose to continue, even without understanding, heaven covered you. And now, without even fully realizing it, you are closer to your purpose than ever before. There is something going on behind the spiritual scenes in your life, and what seems like a delay is God positioning you. What seems like silence is Him separating you from the noise. What seems like a loss is just a sacred deviation, taking you from the ordinary to take you to the extraordinary. Because those chosen do not follow the path of the majority. They are guided by the invisible. And when the time comes, and it will come, you will look back and understand why each fall was necessary. Because every wound made you stronger. Because every no was actually protection in disguise. There is a time to be hurt, and there is a time to be lifted up. And if you are hearing this now, it is because the time of revelation is approaching. You have not been forgotten. You were hidden, preserved, separate. And now the sky begins to whisper little by little. The time is coming. You are not late. You are exactly where you should be in the process of spiritual activation. So now, in a very special way, I want to invite you to position yourself spiritually, to recognize what is happening to you not as chaos, but as divine construction. If this message spoke to your soul, if you felt that every word was like an answer that your spirit was waiting fully, right here in the comments, "I am a chosen in the making." It's not just a sentence, it's a statement, an activation, a spiritual code. Write with faith even if there are still doubts within you. And if you want to go further, share with us which part of this video touched you the most. It can be a word, a memory, a confirmation. This space here is more than a field of comments. It is a place of revelation, encounter, and healing. If you haven't left your like yet, now is the time. This helps this content reach others who are also going through this same journey. And if you feel that this channel speaks to you, to your pain, to your process, subscribe now. Here, each video is a spiritual key, a seed for your purpose, a constant reminder that you are not alone. You are being separated. You are being forged. You are being activated. Heaven is working on you, even when everything around you seems still. And now that this truth has begun to emerge, there is no going back. The next phase of your journey is approaching, and I will be here with you, revealing, encouraging, and reminding you are not just anyone. You are a chosen one. And the next video will open your spiritual eyes even more, because what's to come is even deeper. Let's move forward together, because this journey is just